the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
AVWeek is produced and distributed through a partnership with AVNation and Rave Publications. For more information, go to ravepubs.com/AVNation. This is AVWeek, episode 33, recorded Friday, March 16th, 2012. It's not purple, it's lavender.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. AV Week. It's time for AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tim Albright, your host. With me in studio is Michael Drainer. He is from Tech Electronics in St. Louis, Missouri. Hello, sir.
Hello.
From New York City, George Tucker from World Stage. He is the engineering coordinator. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Good to hear you again.
And the newly employed Dawn Meade. She is she is the marketing and media coordinator for Net AV. Yay!
Hey. And that's newly, not noodly employed. There are laws against that sort of thing in this state.
We can talk about that. And in case you haven't, you've missed it, Dawn has been a freelance consultant for AV companies. She's also done a lot of marketing stuff and blogging as well. But now she has decided to join the rank and file of 9-to-5ers. So get your coffee.
Rejoin. I was only 1 year doing the freelance thing. I've had a job.
I say that like, she's finally getting off the couch. No, she's rejoining. I'm sorry. I should have said that. So
no more bonbons for you.
I can still eat bonbons. I just have a desk to eat them at now.
Jeez. This week we're going to talk about the TED conference, South by Southwest, to talk about more conferences, the HDCP and copying content, also 10 signs that you're an AV geek, and one of them probably is listening to this very podcast. But first, back in June of 2011, Extron was at Infocom. Yes, they were at Infocom at one point. They're not anymore, but hey. But they released a bunch of products, one of which I was interested in because of the whole mobile control thing. And they were showing their Media Link app for the iPad and ostensibly, I guess, for the whole iOS system. They said it would release by the end of 2011. Didn't exactly hit that. It did release this last couple weeks. It's 99 cents on the App Store. A little different than Crestron's or AMX's. Crestron has a free version for the strip down, and Crestron's full version, which does a couple of things. I think one is analog feedback for $100. So yeah, it's a little different. Michael, is this something that you can throw on an iPad for education or for somebody's home that makes sense? Because it's only $1, right? And you do have to have the whole Media Link system, obviously in place for it to control. But is this a good competitor to AMX or Crestron's iOS interfaces?
I think it's a good supplement to what's already going on in the world of Extron. I mean, it's just kind of extending the existing control interface to a mobile platform with Media Link, which you did not have the ability to do before. I don't know that you can speak to it being a competitive product to Crestron or AMX because it is limited by Media Link's capabilities, where the Crestron or AMX can actually expand into whatever display you want to build and control multiple processors, multiple interfaces. So I don't know that they're really in the same league. My complaint is, look, I already paid for the Media Link. You're going to charge me $1 for the app? Really?
Oh, that's not fair. I mean, Crestron and AMX both charge you for the iOS stuff.
Yeah, they do, but $1? I mean, why not make it 99 cents?
I'm sorry, it is 99 cents. I'm the one.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Jeez, George, help me out here. Is this cooler?
Yes and no. I'm kind of undecided on this thing.
You can't be undecided. This is an election. This is an election year. You have to vote. Sorry. Sound like my father.
So the candidates are Extron, Crestron, and AMX?
Don't you know I'm a radical moderate? I try. I do.
No, that's a libertarian, but thank you.
Boy. So I kind of like it, but it looks a lot like their actual wall plates, which I guess
not
is
a
what
lot
they were
like
going
it
for.
is their wall plate.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Well, we quibble. I'm not sure what I think of it. I mean, I would expect more. Yes, I know the product that they're connecting to doesn't do more, but it just doesn't grab me. And maybe I'm over expecting or over analyzing what they did with it. But you're on this big glossy machine, and I don't know what I got here.
Well, really, what else can you do other than replicate the actual panel? I mean, there's not much to Media Link.
So let's not quibble. Let's not parse hairs here or anything. I like a lot of Extron's products. One thing that is a downside to Extron is the user interface, is the sexiness, and sometimes sexiness does really matter. I'm not talking about exploiting women or anything like that. I like that. I'm talking about the actual user experience. For me touching the buttons, and Crestron and AMX have that down way over Extron. And so, yeah, they could have taken this opportunity you're putting this on one of the sexiest, most user-friendly devices, an iPad, right? And Apple has spent a lot of time, a lot of research to get this thing faster and thinner and all this jazz. And now we have a Retina display, so we have, all these other cool tools and a really fast processor. I don't care if they would have called up, Apple and said, give us Johnny Ive for, a couple $1 million and have him design the interface. They had the opportunity to make their product sexier than what the actual wall box is, and they didn't take it.
But don't you think that would cause some confusion, though? I mean, if you think about the application for an MLC controller, it's for that simple environment for the novice user. It needs to be very intuitive. And, if you've got one interface for the wall panel and another interface for the touch panel, I could see where it's going to really confuse the end user. So I understand why they did what they did. But to me, it's just kind of like, okay, so I can go wireless with an MLC now. All right.
Right. That's what I think. I mean, when you look at this, you have to understand it is what it is. It's Extron Media Link. Anybody that's integrating control into any kind of corporate or education environment knows, and this is no reflection on the quality of the product, but in general, the perception is good, better, best. And when you're just looking at good, you throw in a Media Link. If you're looking at better, you find something from AMX in the budget range. And if you're looking for best, or at least shiniest, generally Crestron tends to be the shiniest. And again, that's no reflection. I love all three companies. I've had my ups and downs with all three companies. But the perception with their control is Media Link is kind of the entry-level, basic, get-her-done model. And it doesn't have to be sexy.
Get her done.
It's Larry the Cable Guy. Wow.
Seriously, it's the Larry the Cable Guy of control for AV, but it works. It does what it needs to do. It ain't pretty, but it does what it needs to. And the interface here reflects that. I'm just tickled that it's 99 cents because, granted, I've been working from the couch for the past year and haven't been looking at price sheets, but last I had checked, some of the other guys, AMX and or Crestron, they're putting panels on the iPad thing was a couple $100. For 99 cents, I'll take it. It's ugly, but it works, and for a room that already has Media Link, go for it.
It's ugly, but it works. Oh my. Yeah, and in all fairness, AMX's and Crestron's free ones, and I stress free, at least on the Android marketplace. I know, Michael, on the iOS is the Crestron one free?
The Crestron one?
Yes.
I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
On the Android marketplace, there is a free version.
There is.
That doesn't give you as much feedback. It does give you some feedback, but doesn't give you as much. And for the $100 version, it does give you a little bit more feedback. But really, that's all that you get for $100. A little bit more functionality. But they have a free one, for crying out loud. So
yeah, I believe the iPhone, iPad one, there is a free version as well, and it is very limited in feedback, but it is there.
It is there. So in essence, Extron's ugly one cost me a buck extra. I'm sorry, Michael, 99 cents extra.
Well, and not to beat it to a dead horse here, but it does what it does, and it is nice. Maybe I'm having a Matt Scott moment where I'm like, the space it fills feels awkward to me. I'm not sure what it is, but my initial reaction was, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think we're all on the same page there. But we're wanting the cool, touchy-feely, kind of sexy thing. But if you think about the MLC app, there's nothing cool and sexy about MediaLink.
No, but I wanted them to take the opportunity to make it sexy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think they did that with TouchLink, though. They started going down. Well, yeah, you're right. But they
started going down that
road. Yeah.
This was not supposed to be the Extron bash. I'm sure there's some poor soul.
And we do plenty of MediaLink and TouchLink. We have a lot of customers that are very happy with them, and I like the product. I got customers that'll use the iPad app too. I mean, for only $1, they can do that. But it is what it is.
I was going to say, I don't even think it's necessarily a matter of bashing Extron because MediaLink's great. Yeah. I know lots of people that love MediaLink. Our own guys loved MediaLink when it came out. In its place, and there were certain jobs that were MediaLink jobs. Right. Certain other jobs are high-end Crestron jobs, or what have you. Custom jobs with somebody writing their own software. I mean, for its place in the world, it's fabulous.
Yes. All right, for its place in the world. This is from Gizmodo, and they're talking about South by Southwest. If you don't know what that is, it's about 4 or 5 days in Austin, Texas. Where a bunch of technology people get together, and it started a number of years ago. It's where Twitter was first released. It's where a number of significant pieces of new media and new software have been introduced. And the Gizmodo piece asked the question, and so I'll ask the question to my fabulous panel here. George, does South by Southwest still matter?
Yeah, I think it does. And in the same way that Burning Man matters, but it's different.
Explain what Burning Man is.
What?
Explain what Burning Man is in case somebody doesn't know.
Well, Burning Man is this great music and culture and art extravaganza, and I can't think of another word for it, but it's a mess, and it's creative, and it's data, and it's wonderful all at the same time. It happens out in the Salt Flats. I'm losing which state that's in. I'm sorry. But it's where they erect this Burning Man figure that they eventually, at the end of the 7 or 8 days in the desert, they burn it. But in between then, there are musical performances and creative art movements and theater pieces and people just hanging out and being together. And it's become a social media sort of mecca as well. But South by Southwest is more of the sort of startup businessman's version of that, where you can go from the bands and stuff like that and see the startups and see the technology and have a great time. And the blog that we're referencing talks about how a lot of the original people who were there that started with South by Southwest as a technology thing are sort of pshawing it now because it's not what they started and it's not the intimate little get-together that they used to have. And I think that that's valid to say, hey, it's not quite the influence or the immediate response reaction that we used to get, but it's still very important for people to get exposed to things and to become part of that and to possibly get themselves exposed for a broader audience.
Real quickly, it's actually Nevada.
Nevada, sorry, I was having a brain fart there.
That's all right. So Dawn, does this gathering of technology folks for what in essence has not to be flip about it, has turned into somewhat of a trade show / drunken fest for technology geeks. Somebody on Twit This Week in Tech last week said it was spring break for geeks.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I'm just relating, So does this thing still matter?
Again, I'm kind of with George. It does, but in a different way. I mean, it went from being a small group of ahead of the curve tech types who were developing new things and bringing them out, as startup, but not even startups at that point, just ideas and building them that way. And bloggers would go and new app developers would go. And it was this very creative little nugget of tech geekiness And it's turned into, there's concerts and it's as much a music festival as it is a technology festival. And there's parties and, the article uses the term, you get nothing more than barbecue bloat, which is true to a point. There's parties. I mean, we've experienced it when Infocom, it went from a little gathering of a few manufacturers to the monstrosity that it's been the past few years, in a good way monstrosity, mind you. But I mean, it changes. Things evolve. Things change. And from the tone of this article, it was almost like the founders of South by Southwest were hipsters. And now that everybody wants to go there, it's just not cool. They're sitting around wearing their big thick glasses, saying, "I like South by Southwest," before anyone ever heard of it. And it still matters. It's still relevant. And now it matters even a little more because people know about it and know to send money there. If you're a startup and venture capitalists know about it, and people that want to invest in you know about it. And I think that's more valuable than, just sitting around saying, "Look how cool I am."
Well, and Michael Dawn raises a good point. It's Infocom has evolved. Suddenly all of us have our Wednesday night free at Infocom this year. So
thank you, West Coast guys.
Does this thing matter down in Austin?
Does it matter? Yeah, I mean, I think it matters. I think it's always beneficial when you can get a bunch of tech heads together and have some legitimate conversations about where things are going and what's going on and how you're going to finance your new endeavors. I mean, that's where brilliance is stirred, is when you can get those minds together and really start talking about things that could be. Do I think it's a bad thing that it has become what it has? Maybe, maybe not. I think it depends on what the initial intent was and what you hope to get out of it. Do I think it's no longer valid? No. I think there is some validity to it and that there's a lot of benefits to it.
Okay. So let's all go next year. Yay. Yeah, that a Burning Man one or two.
Well, I have to say that it does sort of feel very tiresome and almost adolescent the way that they were reacting against it. It's like, I'm a child of the punk hardcore movement of the 80s and 90s, and there was any number of bands. I think one most people can relate to is I'm having these brain farts again. American Idiot.
Green Day,
who went from this real local, punk band that slept in people's living rooms and floors to this mega band, really still keeping to what they did mostly. But they did change a little bit. But does that make it any less valid? No, just decrying that others know about it now and it's too crowded. I love that quote that he said with the Yogi Berra. Nobody goes there anymore. It's always too crowded. It's like.
Yeah, but I mean, if you live in your little hole, though, I mean, what benefit is it to the world and to the other people in the industry if you just live in recluse? It's just the way we've always done it.
I'm of the opinion. You know what? If Infocom ever turns into CES, I think it's going to be a great thing, not a horrible "this is too crowded" thing.
You just want to meet Justin Bieber.
Well, there is that. You know what? If I met Justin Bieber, I might become the coolest guy in my house.
As cool as the purple shirt he's wearing today.
Leave me alone with my purple shirt.
Oh, man.
Just wait for us to get on video. Then I can show people how incredibly buff and handsome I am.
Yeah, they'll just start calling you Barney.
When we do video, I'm going to start dressing like John Cherry. That's all I have to say.
we have to put a link to the Don Cherry desk.
Reference to you'll get.
Yeah, make sure you put that on the show page.
Yeah, I will put this on the links on the show page. Don Cherry, who, if you don't know who he is, he's a big hockey guy up in Canada, and he's a commentator, and he's explaining how the heck did we get to talking about hockey? I don't know. He's explaining this team, and he keeps pounding the desk, and someone has or underlaid piano notes every time he hits the desk perfectly, to where it looks like Don Cherry is playing at this desk and with a very loud red jacket, I think. So.
Yeah, well, he's also very well known for these outlandish and loud, and I mean loud, suits. They're made out of almost drapery material at times. He's not afraid to wear the flowers.
So he's the walking tapestry.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what we'll do. All right, from CE Pro, for Jason Nutt. The question is, are outdoor AV systems picking up steam? And he goes on to say, despite the economy, demand for outdoor AV systems seems to have remained steady. It seemed everyone was talking about outdoor entertainment several years ago, but we haven't heard much lately. Michael, you are an integrator in St. Louis, but you have a couple of other offices. Are you putting in a lot of these, or are you hearing about a lot of these?
I wouldn't say a lot, but we do have a steady flow of outdoor AV deployments going on at any given time. We've recently had one in, well, actually, this is one that's been a couple years ago, but downtown St. Louis. We've got an outdoor venue that has a Daktronics display. We've got speakers in the garden. This whole kind of city rejuvenation thing was going on with the Parks Department, and they ended up, they broadcast the Cardinals games there. They have movie nights out in the park. And, it's a good display of how AV can be used to enhance the community and to bring people together. We've got different corporations. I've even had military institutions want to do outdoor entertainment spaces for on-base entertainment for families to bring the kids out to the park. They do meetings and trainings out there. It presents its own unique set of challenges, but we are continually seeing that, whether it's video displays or just outdoor entertainment systems in amphitheaters and things of that sort. So, yeah, it's definitely not drying up.
George, you guys do a lot of live staging and stuff like that. I mean, it's part of your thing, World Stage. Is this something you see going on? And I don't know, I have never done one, so give me some of the pros and the cons, some of the pitfalls that can happen as you start to take, I don't know, a piece of electronics outdoors where there's rain and snow and sleet.
Well, precisely, and it has to be weather impervious or moisture impervious, all those other factors. And there's a maintenance to it. You have to sort of maintain them more often than not. It's not just an AV system that sits in your house or inside of a ballroom. It's got to be maintained like a car. You got to, clean it and all that other stuff. I like this, though, even from the sort of residential side, that what it shows is that people who are nesting, you may not be going out as often. You may not be buying a new car. You may not be buying certain vacations, but you want to make your outdoor, if you are so lucky to have a backyard to do that, much more entertaining to bring people in so that you can actually entertain at your house and enjoy yourself there. And this is a very good sign, I think. Even though they're saying it's only a small percentage, it's still steady. It's sort of like when people were improving their houses during other economic downturns. Hey, they were making them more weather efficient. They were putting in home theaters or mini home theaters or some kind of AV system because they were staying home more and they wanted it to be nice.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, George. They're trying to expand their living space. And, just like we see companies and organizations wanting to do that to leverage those outdoor venues. In my previous life, I worked for a television broadcast company, and our CEO has this outdoor arborarium, kind of goes out into the pool area and things like that. And we did just that. We ended up putting in outdoor LED displays that were weatherized and or not LED, at the time it was plasmas. It would put speakers under the water in the pool so he could hear what's going on out there. They could listen to their music in the pool house and under the water. And yeah, we're talking about somebody with a lot of money here, but at the same time, years ago, you wouldn't see that type of stuff going on. One, the technology wasn't there, and people just weren't thinking about expanding that space like they are today.
Right. I don't even have the money to do any of that, but I'm looking to put outdoor speakers into my yard.
Right.
I spend a lot of time there with the kids. I want to be able to listen to the game, listen to music, hang out with friends, and it's the perfect space for it. And it's going to cost me a couple of $100 here and there, but I'm going to put most of it in myself. But that's what I would do next. Am I going to add my lighting and thermostat? That's the indoor stuff for managing it. But outdoors, I want my AV, at least audio.
Right. Yeah. Well, I want my Crestron to fire up my grill for me in the winter. We grill year round, so one of these days I'm gonna build that nice big outdoor kitchen thing. But here in the Midwest, we just don't have enough good weather to make that happen.
Sure, we do.
You're watching
April 20th and April 21st.
Well, that's true. If you don't mind it, 110% humidity.
All right, Dawn, is this something? What's that?
I said the mosquitoes the size of bombers.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, small birds. Yeah.
Especially this year with the fact that we had no winter to speak of. So, yeah.
Right.
We will have them. Dawn, is this something where, integrators and guys like Michael and you guys can start, marketing to, the people who are still staying in their homes and, we're getting into warmer weather. So, hey, why don't you start thinking about something, whether it's, obviously there's the outdoor speaker part all the way up to, the weatherproof plasma.
Yeah, I definitely think that there is a market for it, both, on the consumer side and the commercial side. I've never worked resi, but I know the resi guys get called for this. I've been to a few houses where people have had this, and it looks fantastic. it's just a sign, though, that our society is becoming more and more not immune, but just used to having AV and technology all around us. We've got the technology, we've got digital signage going in outdoors, in walkways and things, is wayfinding in different corporate campuses, in different theme parks. On the home front, they are putting them on decks and patios. But, I'm in the DC area. A lot of our corporate clients work for the government. And, of course, a lot of our clients are the government. We've been working on outdoor AV systems for quite a while and working on getting them weather immune and so forth, because ours have to stand up to, the desert or a cave somewhere or these sorts of things. So there is technology out there that can make our electronics and our AV work in pretty harsh environments. It's just a matter of getting it more affordable and then getting people to buy into it. And like I said, we've gotten as a society to the point that everybody expects AV everywhere. It's not at all unusual to be walking and see digital signage and digital billboards as you're walking. That's commonplace nowadays. So it's only a matter of time until this is just another standard thing people do.
Well, and why shouldn't we expect it? I mean, we've got Wi-Fi everywhere. We've got our mobile devices everywhere. We've got data everywhere we go. We should have the rest of it. And, what's encouraging to me with this is we're seeing more and more companies pop up that are specializing in ruggedized AV. We've got a lot more speaker manufacturers making IP65 rated devices. We're seeing more display manufacturers or third-party manufacturers building enclosures to support these devices. So, I think it's just a natural progression. It's going to continue to move forward, and we're going to see more and more of it in both residential and commercial.
Right on.
Everywhere.
Rock on.
Savoir-faire.
Wow. Holy cow. That was an interesting little reference. Savoir-faire is everywhere. All right. Do what?
I said my job is done. I can leave now.
You can do that. Yes, you've got me thinking about
George caused the inspiration.
Yeah. From CNET, Intel is developing an online TV service. Interesting. The Wall Street, actually, the CNET is reporting something the Wall Street Journal is reporting, so I want to make sure that all my attributions are in place. The Wall Street Journal reports that the PC maker is developing a new web-based TV service to compete with cable, satellite, and telco TV services. George, this comes the same week where I found out, and I didn't know that this, maybe you guys did, was that Netflix was starting to talk to certain cable providers about being their on-demand service, which was also interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Here's, we're all kind of juggling around in the, let's call it the giant jacuzzi of online video. Where,
that is a weird visual, man.
Some martinis have been had, and, the socks have come off, and, whoops, there's my bottom trunks, and, these guys are, follow along if you will, please.
Am I going to have to hit the delay here a second?
No.
I'm just worried. Is this a hotel jacuzzi or is this a private jacuzzi?
It's a
whole different set of viruses.
It's a hotel jacuzzi.
That makes it even worse.
Because it's the internet,
That's just a cesspool, dude.
And you don't know where it's been. But these guys are all kind of, they're half drunk, but they all understand that they've all got the same end. The end game is the same, and that's to deliver as much to be the biggest deliverer of content to you and me and to the end users of these products. To be the source, the one, the only. To quote Lord of the Rings, the one ring to rule them all, type thing. Is this Intel jumping into this, which actually kind of surprises me. Apple has jumped into this, and if you believe the rumors, eventually there will be an actual physical Apple TV that will provide streaming, and they are where all of your content's going to be. If you bought your movie from iTunes, Netflix is obviously there, Hulu is obviously there. Where are we going with this? And I believe it's a good thing, but is this kind of a good thing, that the big giant jacuzzi of media delivery guys?
I personally believe so, and I think it's what 90%, if not 99.9% of the media consuming populace wants. But everybody's getting into it because they think it's the future. It is the precious that they all want.
Precious.
I think they're all jumping in because they see someone like Apple saying, we want to control the entire chain. We want to sell you the box, sell you the media, sell you this. And they all see that as a very good potential of being able to have the entire food chain. As Intel, you go, why couldn't Intel do what Apple does? They could. They've got the resources and the hardware and the engineering development to be able to do it and do it right. They work with Apple and they work with everybody else. So everybody wants to be able to have their own little food chain, which in a way sort of harks upon the long tail. I don't know if you know that book about how companies can sell more of many products rather than a lot of one product.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they sort of, subdivide everything. And that's very tempting because you're going to have these little spin-offs that if they go bad, you spin them off, you're really not hurting that much. But they all feed off of each other and make a bigger company and make a bigger sales thing. And you can actually grab niche markets and make money off of it. So I see it as a good thing, but what I think eventually will happen, like anything else that's happened in these big conglomerates, is there's going to be a feeding frenzy at some point where it reaches critical mass, and a whole bunch of them are going to go away and get absorbed or fail because they didn't take the Groupon offer immediately.
Jeez.
And they'll die off.
Isn't
But
that just kind of evolution, though? Business evolution,
Yeah, I suppose it is. But everybody's going after something that they know very little about where the real profit margins are.
Right.
And what is it going to do to the infrastructure? The infrastructure is the free internet, and we've all been fighting about that, from SOPA to bandwidth limiting to
net neutrality,
priority pricing, all that stuff. So what does it do to you and me? We may want it, but do we really want what we get?
Well,
Right.
and
Careful, you may ask what you ask for.
Yeah. Don, there have been many different reports, and this is the one I feel the most comfortable saying, that 30% of the internet traffic in the U.S. during prime time viewing hours, and if you don't know what that is in the East Coast, it's 8 to 11, and in the Midwest where Michael and I are, it's 7 to 10. 30% of internet traffic during that time is Netflix. Okay? Now, if I'm NBC or ABC or CBS, I'm shaking in my boots. If I'm Cablevision or Comcast or Charter, I am courting Netflix at this point going, really? You're 30%? Well, I have this marriage over here who it's not exactly working for me, because here's the thing. If 30% of the internet traffic is Netflix during prime time, which is the marriage they have with ABC and CBS and NBC, why wouldn't they, dump that marriage and jump with Netflix?
Right. The thing is, the whole internet TV, internet streaming, watching thing, the biggest issue that all of them have, and it says this in the article, is content. Mm-hmm. They have to have access to the content. Netflix already has a mechanism in place where they have content. And that's why they're being, having the most success at this point. Apple TV has not worked because they don't have as much content, or they don't have all the content. I got a Kindle Fire for Christmas. I love it. I watch content on it. Amazon Prime doesn't have all the content. Yeah. It has a great big chunk of it, and I love it, but it doesn't have all the content. And I don't think anyone is going to be successful as long as all of these companies are coming in with this idea that they're going to become the one ring to rule it all and lock out other competitors from the different content. People won't stand for that. I mean, people want access to everything, or as much as possible. And if you're going to be, restrictive and say, I'm only going to play on this one, and somebody else is going to say, I'm only going to play on that one, eventually people are going to get hacked off and just say, to heck with it, and pirate everything or what have you. They're not going to play that game. Ultimately, what's going to work is something similar to free TV or paid TV. The regular methods of getting TV across, without these exclusive deals that this production company is only going to run on this platform and this production company is only going to run on that platform. That'll never be successful in my view. And as long as they keep pursuing that kind of deal, the makers of the devices themselves or the services themselves aren't going to be successful. The reason Netflix seems ahead of the game, they've got more content. They've got more access to.
They have more, but they don't have all.
Right.
And therein lies the problem. And you just hit the nail on the head with that, because I've got my Netflix account, but I also pay for my Hulu Plus because I can't get everything I want on Netflix. And guess what? I still subscribe to DirecTV because I can't get everything I want on both of those. Yeah. So, you're absolutely right, Don. And to quote George Feldstein last week, you can't...
George Feldstein wasn't on last week.
George Feldstein, what am I saying?
You know what? That would be a bigger story. I mean, and I like Randy Klein a lot, but that would have been
Randy Klein. I apologize, Randy, if you're listening today. But to quote Randy Klein, you can't rule the world. He tried.
Yeah.
You can't take it over. So none of these guys are going to be able to do that. But what I am excited about with this is that the competition is good for the marketplace. What concerns me is that as this evolution goes on, Tim's absolutely right. The smaller guys are going to get swallowed up, and it's going to get right back to a monopoly again. We're going to be right back where we are with the traditional cable delivery systems and satellite systems. And until we can get that under wraps, I don't see it being beneficial to the market.
Here's an argument against the monopoly idea, though, or the potential monopoly. If I'm a content broadcaster of any sort, how many times have I watched my channel or my content be unavailable because cable companies and broadcast networks have bitched at each other? And we just went through one here with Cablevision and Warner Brothers, MSG and Warner Brothers not doing any of the sports stuff because they were fighting over a couple of pennies, really, in their world of dollars about broadcasting this stuff. If I'm a smart broadcaster, I'm thinking I'm going to try and find as many of the important streams or content providers, or the stream providers, Netflix, Hulu, whatever, Redbox, and say, I want to have my content, my channel on your box. Because the minute somebody else tells me that they're going to try to get more money out of me, hey, everybody, go to Hulu. Hey, everybody, go to Apple TV. Because that way you're protected from your content being away. Now, it's an end game both ways, but it's sort of like mutually assured destruction. You know?
Here's the thing that I would say to that, and this is where my theoretical stuff for mass media comes in. And so if you'd like to go to sleep now, that's fine. But I would take issue with the monopoly part, and here's the reason why. Because I honestly believe, and I firmly believe, that there is a place for internet-based media creators. Leo Laporte and Twit have done it. Kevin Rose started Revision 3, and they are still thriving after him. Mevio has done it. CNET does it. I mean, there are several places where you have internet-only content delivery.
AVNation
is doing it and striving to do more. I mean, our goal is, yes, to eventually do video.
How many shows do we have now? 8?
8 or 9.
It's 8 or 9? Yeah.
And so there is a place. Now, where the disconnect with the listener and the viewer comes in is how to get it into the house, because most of them do have some sort of cable box or satellite box. This is where people like Western Digital and Roku and boxes like this come into effect. George is right. You say, you know what? I'm going to make deals with everybody. Major League Baseball, like it or hate it, is a genius when it comes to this, and I wish the NFL would take a page from this.
Amen.
They have deals with every single possible set-top box manufacturer that says, for I think it's $125 or $150 a year, I can subscribe to MLB online. And I get a Roku box, I download the channel for that, and I can watch the St. Louis Cardinals regardless of where they are and regardless of where I am. And here's the really cool thing and the really niche-y thing. You know what? If I don't like the Fox Sports Midwest guys who are calling the Cardinal side of the game and they're playing the Yankees, I can listen to the Yankees side. And this is where the content creators are going to have more power than the pipes, than the actual aggregators, I think, in the future. That's where I'm coming from with this. And as not only a content creator myself, but also as a media person who looks at this stuff, I really, really believe that that's where it's going. Now, I may be wishful thinking, but that's really where I see it going, is where there's more power with the creators than there are with the actual aggregators.
I think you're right to a point. I think what it's going to break down is the reality of the dollars and cents and the advertisers coming into that, because it's going to be very difficult for the broadcaster or the local distribution method to sell to that advertiser when they know you can get that content elsewhere and not see their ad. Because the fact is, that's how this stuff is monetized, right? I mean, they're making their money on the ads, they're making their money on the distribution, they're making their money. I mean, there's so many different places that the dollars are rolling in this media world. Once you start interrupting that, then the game changes.
No, it does. It does, and there will be some bumpy years for a little bit as that kind of shifts and shakes out. So
yeah, because let's face it, in St. Louis, I don't want to see an ad about Joey B's Pizza and
I
New
think
York
that
City.
would be cool. I think that would be cool.
but it doesn't make any sense for Joey B's, right? Or whoever the advertiser may be. And likewise, the St. Louis folks want to be able to hit you where you are. And until they come up with a method to deal with that advertising and deliver that content to you for free, but you're not getting it for free. That's the thing. And so,
I would take issue with that because you're not getting anything for free.
No,
there is
not anymore.
You would never have though.
Michael. No,
You never
because you
have.
were consuming the commercial.
Yes.
I mean, that was the whole thing. Yeah.
So there is a price to every piece of media that you consume.
Let's just go back to the
form.
old school, man. Give me a good old antenna and rabbit ears.
But again, you were still
Watch
paying
the
for
General Electric comedy
Absolutely.
hour.
Exactly.
That's right, man.
The Texaco, Milton Berle show. So
Right.
Right.
the good old days, Uncle Milty.
If I could have had a DVR in the 80s, I'd have been good.
He looked great in a dress, didn't he?
He did. Not as good as I do, but he looked pretty good.
He's got the legs for it,
This comes from Electric House EH Publishing.
I'm leaving now.
Okay. Here's the question, guys. iPod or HD TV? Which screen rules? And I'll throw one more in here. The new iPad with the Retina display. We talked about a little bit last week with the fact that technically it's bigger than HD. The resolution's bigger than HD.
But you can't see it.
Well, yeah, sure you can. You hold it way out here. And George, if you had your druthers, which one would you rather turn on? A 46-inch TV or pop open your iPhone?
I don't know about iPhone, but an iPad or tablet would be my choice, depending on the situation, because most of my media consumption is personal. And in that I mean that my wife doesn't watch hockey, but I do. So I'm watching it on my computer because that's where, I'll go up into the other room, the office, and I'll watch it on there because she's going to watch her DVR or whatever she's watching, reality show stuff. That just, she doesn't cotton to hockey and I don't cotton to that stuff. So we're done. But there is a greater thing going on here is that a lot of younger kids, a lot of other younger generations don't distinguish between the two. And that's part of the argument here is this guy is a gog that someone would think that they would want to watch a movie on something smaller and not be enveloped in the content like he prefers to have. And this is an industry threat, definitely. I have a quote. There's a guy named Phil Swan who does TVpredictions.com. He's a HD expert and on a lot of stuff. And I have dubbed him the Swanee inverse square rule, which is every time he claims that nobody wants to watch content on small screens, the people watching it doubles. Because, and I've done this to him face to face, which he kind of has taken up as a moniker. But it really is a difference of how other generations are consuming content. My kids make no differentiation between the large TV, the computer screen, or the iTouch that I'm using.
Nope.
So they don't see a difference in that content and how it's delivered. They just want to watch their content. And yes, there are arguments to be made to say, hey, this is much better. It's a better sound. You can see that hockey puck on this 50-inch HD TV. You can. But the world's changing in how we consume. And for better or worse, that's where it's going.
See, Don, I'm with George on this because my kids do the exact same thing. And I think that may be a generational thing. Not saying we're all old, but we're not 6 either, So here's the thing: would you rather, but do you see kind of where this is going? Where having the 50-inch plasma is kind of going away, or do you think there's still a viable option to have the large format display in like the living room or the centerpiece room? And then, by the way, we're also consuming, content elsewhere.
But there's definitely going to remain a market for the large screen as well as the small in the home. And it's not even necessarily a generational thing. It's a situational thing. Okay. If I'm watching a movie that's an action film and something very dramatic's happening, I'm going to be watching it on my wall-sized, LED or plasma screen. I want the surround sound going, and I want the walls to shake. And we do that in our house sometimes with the surround sound. If I'm just watching, a sitcom or something, and I don't care, I'll watch it on my phone. I'll watch it on my tablet. I'll watch it on my laptop. My husband and I are both in the industry, and we're both tech geeks, fully admit it. But, there are times we'll have one thing on the plasma, a movie or what have you, and we'll both have our laptops up, multitasking, typing and watching something on a screen there. And there, especially football season, if you can't get a certain game, we'll have one game on the laptop, one game on the TV, and then we'll have our tablet going or our phone going. So, we're that awkward late Gen X generation that's kind of on the cusp of the kids, but on the cusp of the old people.
Just call it total geeks, right?
Yeah. But I mean, we consume multiple platforms all at once on different size screens. And there are some situations I want to watch it on my phone. Sometimes I want my tablet. And there are definitely times I would not give up my big screen.
But she makes a point, though, because all four of us are on that weird little Gen X part where, you know what, we're not the baby boomers. We're not. We have a lot of the consumption habits that they had, but we're not Generation Y or I don't even know what my kids would be called. Are they millennials? Okay, millennials.
Yeah. Generation Snot-Nose.
Yeah,
Snot-Nose.
Generation, he's got my dolly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. George doesn't have that problem because he has two boys. But we are in that weird little flux part where we are technology driven enough where, you know what, we will sit down with our iPads or our laptops and watch whatever it is we're watching, whether it's, I was watching a TV show on NBC the other day and didn't know the actress's name, thought she looked familiar. So, you know what do? I grab my phone and I do the IMDb thing and say, oh, yeah, I've seen her in this and this and this before. So, that's kind of who we are.
Right. But I agree with Dawn. It's a situational thing. Because I think that more of your family viewing is going to continue to happen at the large screen in the family area of the house, and the personal viewing, like George said, is going to continue to happen and progress toward the personal devices. And my wife and I are the same way. When we get together and we watch a movie, we sit down in front of the plasma to do it. When we're watching separate things, then she might be on the TV and I'm on the iPad, or vice versa. It just depends on what the situation is. And I don't think either one is going to be eliminated. I think there's room for both.
Okay. All right. This comes to us from our buddies over at Rave Publications. Finnish researchers have developed a new laser light source for mobile projectors.
Dun, dun,
you guys made fun of me for liking the Samsung Galaxy Beam, too. From the VTT Technical Research Center in Finland, Epicrystals, I'm going to totally butcher this name, Epicrystals Oy and Aalto University believe they have a better laser light source for projectors that will be integrated into mobile phones, and expect mobile phones equipped with this laser light source can be within consumer reach in a few years' time. Michael?
Yes, Tim.
I expect you to eat crow on this because, see, I told you they'd come up with something bigger than 15 lumens, which is what happens to be inside the Samsung Galaxy Beam. All kidding aside.
And so what is this new laser?
All kidding aside, is this something that we're going to have to worry about? Or is this not just worry about it, but is this viable technology that we can start seeing move not only into Pico projectors and mobile phone projectors, but on up into the several thousand lumens that we expect inside classrooms and large venues.
Yeah, I know I was making fun of the little Pico thing with the Galaxy.
It is only 15 lumens. Yes,
it is.
I'll give you that.
But George made a very good point that week, and that is that it's a sign of things to come. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And, when you see new technology like this emerge, you're kind of skeptical at first. But knowing that there's already hybrid laser projectors out there that look darn amazing for what they are, and that they're continuing to progress that technology, and we're coming out with newer and better ways to generate that light, I'm kind of excited about it. Now, am I worried about it or concerned about this hitting the consumer space? No. I'm more excited about seeing it get big enough to use in the commercial space.
Yeah. All right, George, are you excited about the possibility of putting in not laser guided, good Lord, it's not a missile. You know what?
Laser guided content. Direct.
It's been a long week, guys. Laser
Get that man some coffee.
I guess. Laser projector, go.
Finish.
Oh my. So
George still there?
Yeah, he's still there.
No, I'm just waiting.
Yeah. Why? You put me out of my misery. Just start talking about something.
Well, I'm never a fan of vaporware. And yes, they said they have a working model. We all know if you're in the manufacturing side, that means that they're getting there, but they want to lay claim to it right now because there's others who might be doing stuff, right?
Well, and that goes back, not to interrupt you real quick, but that goes back to a conversation we had with Linda Frembies about vaporware and Infocom. She said, as long as you're the first one, to the trade show, you're the one that invented it.
Right.
It's all marketing.
Right. Well, we talked about that on the DIY show yesterday with Ben Harris. That there's this history of did Edison really invent the light bulb? Kind of. Did Ford invent the automobile? Not really. There was a lot of people developing something in a very critical moment, and someone just got to the patent office first. So this sounds very interesting. It might mean that there's more compact things we can do, and it'll fit into better areas, and but until I see really what they can do with it, and until we actually prove that there was a quark that went faster than the speed of light, we'll have to wait and see. My joke that you stepped on though was that I don't understand why they're saying it's coming. They're finished, right?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, you're fired.
Thank you.
Waka.
Man.
Thank you. Hey, tip your waitress not too far. She might fall over.
Dawn, help.
I don't know if I can follow that
I don't
mess.
know.
You can't rescue this.
We
you
should
can't
just
save it.
cut our losses
You
and
can't
say
save
good night,
it.
folks. Say good night, Gracie.
George, you can't follow me.
I do have a point though. Okay.
Thank
For
you.
once. No, it's equally ridiculous, just less shecky. I'm such a girl on these things. Like when they first brought out Pico projectors, my first words out of my mouth at Infocom were, "Oh my God, cute!" And my second words out of my mouth, to my husband's utter horror, was, "I can fit it in my purse." So
it's not a pair of shoes.
No, because you don't put your shoes in your purse; you put them on your feet. Silly.
And Michael is such a guy. So.
I was going to say, this is, I'm an AV girl. I'm a woman in AV, and I know my technical stuff, but let me have my girly moment, If it's small and bright, like the Pico projectors and the things that are on the phones right now, total disappointment in terms of brightness and quality. And anything that is real that can improve that and bring it to the level of quality we expect out of a projector, but in itty-bitty size, I love it. They just have to make it work.
Yeah.
So.
And they have to make it bright. So.
And they have to make it cute.
Yeah, and cute, yes.
So make sure it's in a pretty box with a bow for her.
Like those little dogs that my wife wants. Just annoying.
Well, she wants one of those little purse dogs?
Yes.
Get her a Chihuahua, Yorkie.
No. Ooh, no.
All right. This comes from a commercial integrator. 10 signs you're an AV geek. So.
Number 1, you're on AVWeek.
Well, there is that.
Damn.
Number 2, you listen to AVWeek.
Can I go through these? Is that possible?
I was just setting it up.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your jokes are about as good as George's. So.
I know they're horrible, right?
Not to be simplistic about this, but it is.
Hey, I make a living off my jokes. All right, come on.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
We just lost everybody.
We did.
Read them.
All right. You know what RGB, RGBS, and RGBHV is. What DSP stands for. Even though you can't really explain it, but go up to a Best Buy associate and ask them to describe the difference between 1080i and 1080p.
Ooh, that could be. You know what? We could have some fun with that one.
Could have some fun with that. That should be like one of our first video things. Is just do that.
Are you kidding? My husband and I do that all the time, shopping at Christmas.
Do you really? That's a good idea.
Oh, and when I shop by myself for Christmas, I love messing with the kids at Best Buy because they see a girl shopping in heels for something. Oh, it's techie. Let's go make a commission. And it's like, oh, sweetie, you don't know what you're getting into with me.
What is the difference between YPRPB, and component?
There's a difference?
Yes.
That's the whole idea. RS-232, 422, and 485.
Those are all exits on the freeway.
Yes, they are. AD and DA. Is this an attention disorder?
Wait, you said NDNDA?
No, ADNDA, because you do have an attention disorder, Michael.
Gotcha.
The Matrix Switcher, is that a movie mashup of Keanu Reeves? Let's see, VTC, VC, and UC, keystoning, and what the words Crestron, Extron, and AMX are all about. So, 10 signs that you are an AV geek by Dan Newman of Commercial Integrator. So,
very nice.
I thought so.
So what's the difference between a geek and a nerd?
There is actually a definition. I think.
Geeks can be sexy.
Ooh,
really?
I'm totally a geek then.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Nice.
You are a complete nerd.
Yeah. The hierarchy kind of goes geeks, which can be cool and sexy, and you can be still geeky.
Okay.
And then there's nerds, which is like a step below that, and they're not always as sexy and not always as cool. And then just sort of bottom of the heap are the dweebs, and you don't want to be a dweeb. So
there's
No
like
dweebs.
there are some social backwardness to nerds and stuff like that. They're very focused and very math
Introverted?
Yeah, introverted and this, that, and the other. And geeks are just they know a lot about the stuff, but they still like talking to people and things of that nature. So
here you go. If you watch Big Bang Theory,
there we go.
Oh, I love the Big Bang Theory.
Sheldon, Dr. Sheldon Cooper, sort of falls in the nerd pushing dweeb territory.
Absolutely.
Leonard is a geek. He can be sexy. He has a girlfriend occasionally. He hooked up with Penny.
A totally
you
hot
can't always,
girlfriend.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with
Sorry.
hook up with Penny. No.
I'm gonna
And
send your wife this one.
Yeah, please do.
Raj, when he's at least drunk or able to talk to women, he sort of falls in the high nerd category. And we don't talk about Wallowitz, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Wow.
Wallowitz.
Total side note. I just
Who
saw.
dresses that guy, by the way?
I'm sure.
Not that I'm like all about guys and dressing or anything, but just seriously.
Yeah, because you've not made one comment about my purple shirt today.
I did email the picture to
is
Dawn and George though.
This is from Tech
Yeah, that's-
Dirt. What's that?
I would say that's not purple. That's lavender, sweetie.
Well, everybody.
It's like Easter colors.
It's pastel.
Yeah, there's your problem.
You know what? I am secure enough in my manhood to wear pastels. Thank you very much.
The 80s called. They want it back.
Whoa.
That's what when my wife says, "Why don't you wear your pink shirt today?" It's like it's salmon. It's salmon, babe.
From Tech Dirt, I'd like to get this one last story in. Guess what, folks? Copying still isn't stealing. This is a nice one, actually. And here's the thing. I mean, there's a. I almost called the guy Chris Dodd. Yeah, it is Chris Dodd. Chris Dodd is the new mouthpiece from the MPAA, and we're losing jobs, and it's all about jobs. Well, you know what, my foot. One of the wonderful quotes in here from the music industry. This is from the author. He's quoting the music industry, saying, "The music industry has been ravaged by the digital age. The primary culprit being illegal file sharing on websites with practically zero regulation. The past 2 decades, just for the record, 2 decades ago was 1992, have been something of a wild west on ye old interwebs. No rules, no accountability. By the time the music industry reacted to what was happening, it was too late." And that's the way it is. How did I end up being Walter Cronkite?
Wow.
Here's the thing, and I'm not going to get into.
I was going to say you were Paul Harvey just then, but
Good day. I'm not going to get into the fact that they have a whole lot of money, because I don't want to become that guy. But they're not losing money, and if they think they are, then that's their problem. But me ripping my music that I bought at Best Buy or Sam Goody or wherever and putting on my computer isn't stealing. It's just not. There are laws in place for this. There are backup laws in place for this. And you know what? Once I buy something, I should be able to watch it wherever I darn well please. That's just my 2 cents on it, but that's just not my 2 cents on it. I mean, there is not only law, but there's case law for this. Julie Jacobson posted some stuff this week about the whole Kaleidoscope ruling, where a judge said that Kaleidoscope couldn't do what they were doing with DVDs. I think honestly it's because you have a lot of older people who are in the judiciary who don't understand this stuff, and they don't understand what they're doing. They see, quote unquote, ripping DVDs and putting them on a server, and they're equating that to Pirate Bay. And I think that is a disservice. And I think I don't know if we need to get smarter lawyers on our side or what. But George, this is not. This is by no way over, and I don't know when it will be. But it's not. This is not. This is not stealing. I'm sorry, is it?
Not in the terms that they were talking about in the article, in my opinion. I kept feeling like reading the original blog post that it's not a dump truck. Yeah, okay, there are issues and there are problems with certain parts of the distribution chain, but this is how your public wants the media. Mm-hmm. So find a way to make it work. Stop DVDCA. I'm sorry. Yes, this is American Jobs, but guess what? The technology has moved on. People are still not demanding their stock ticker tape to do stuff because the technology moved on. Yes, that employed people who had to make the paper and supply the machines and keep them running. But guess what? It's moved on. Yeah. Nobody I know buys the physical medium except for maybe kids to travel on, and most of us are putting it on our little USB sticks anyway. Mm-hmm. I take issue with this musician in two ways, and one, I support him. My opinion has always been that if you are an artist and you get it, then you want your material the way your fans want it. If you don't want to participate, I don't care how popular you are, the fans or the people who like it should either, yes, buy it the way this artist wants it to be done, or don't buy their stuff at all. Don't even get it, because that's what they wished. And there's a certain respect there. This is a sort of that, cultural license, this cultural agreement we make. They produce, we buy. If we want it a certain way, that's the way it should be. Yeah. I don't take. I think they want his money to be truthfully punch holes in this artist argument. I think he just needs to get out of his bad contract and put it on the web. I mean, how many other people do we need to talk about that did this successfully? Radiohead, a couple of comedians put out stuff that said they sold more money. They had to give away money because they made more than they wanted. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to do it the way your public wants it, or you force it as your own art to be in the context and the format that you want, but accept that you're not going to sell a lot.
That's true.
Yeah, George brings up a great point, and that's this person that wrote this said the music industry has been ravaged by the digital age. No, it hasn't. The traditional studio and record pressing industry has been possibly ravaged by the digital age. Musicians and music as a whole is flourishing in the digital age. Yep. You don't see, bands standing on the side of the street, with cups begging for change because they don't have jobs anymore due to the downloads into MP3s. They're making it hand over fist. And even the ones that give away their music make so much on donations. They make so much more on concert sales, on extras, affiliated things that they market, as a result, or with the giveaways, that they can't handle how much money they're making. But the beauty of it, and what really makes it special for the music industry, not the music corporate industry, is that the internet and digital file sharing and all of these things have made it possible for so many more voices to be heard. Musicians that never would be heard outside of their garage, outside of their city, outside of their state are now getting a worldwide audience and finding fans in far-flung places that want to buy their stuff. And so many more people are getting, granted they're not, setting the world on fire and they're not all the next Lady Gaga or whatever, but they're having success with their music and sharing their art with so many more people than has ever been possible in the history of the planet. The music industry is fine. It's the corporate suits that aren't.
Yeah. Down with the suits.
I wouldn't say that, suits pay us. But,
no, that's true. Suits do pay us. So.
But, down with some aspects of the suits.
Yes. Tommy Mottola. So, all right, that's all I've got, guys. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to say? Go off on any analogies?
I do.
What's up?
Oh, go ahead, George.
Go ahead.
No. Mine's a finishing statement.
I'm just sorry we didn't cover the IKEA magical touchscreen thread that Gizmodo ran. This is an article about a thread that IKEA helped promote, which enabled gloves and mittens to be touchscreen capable. There's a conductive thread that doesn't scratch. and it was only a promotion, but they sold out of it in 2 weeks. They had like 250,000 or 150,000 that they made.
12,000.
I have a pair.
12,000.
I have a pair. They're awesome.
You do?
Yeah.
I really want this to be real. This is very cool.
Yeah, my wife bought them for...
It's a piece of...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. There was a little delay there.
That's right. I was just saying, it's a piece of thread and a needle.
Yeah.
And you put it on the glove, and you're done. It's a very cool idea. I'm sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. My wife bought me for Christmas a pair of gloves that had that right in the fingertip. And I can use the iPad and everything when it's nice and cold out. GPS works just fine in the car. They're really cool.
It's a simple idea, and it works really well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not full of gadgets and blinky lights.
Nope.
Yep.
It's the easy things that allow you to get her done.
And I may have just countered my argument at the beginning of the show about Extron, but there you go.
Right.
Oh, look at you go. Exactly.
Simple. Kiss it.
Okay, on that note, I got it. It just took me a second. All
right, let's close this out.
Thank you. Michael Drainer is from Tech Electronics.
Yes, sir. Have a great day, everyone.
You can find him on Twitter. I think the last one he did was in 1865. It was his Twitter thing is at Michael Drainer. George Tucker, he is from World Stage. Where can people find you and your ramblings, sir?
In several places, rave pubs. You can find me at tuckerstuesday.typepad.com, and I am at Tucker2s on Twitter.
Very cool. And AV Dawn, the marketing and media coordinator for Net AV. Thank you so much, ma'am. And where can people find you and your stuff?
You can find my blogs on avdawn.com. You can find me on Twitter at avdawn. You can find articles and blogs by me at ravepubs. And as soon as I get the website updated, you can find me at netav.com. That's net-av.com.
Yay!
Slacker.
Congratulations, Miss
AV. My name is Tim Albright. If you'd like to follow my stuff on Twitter, it is at TD Albright, Tim David Albright. But more importantly, for me and everybody here at AV Nation, go to the website, ravepubs.com/AVNation, ravepubs.com/AVNation. That's where you will find this show and many more. George alluded to it earlier. We recorded the DIY show yesterday. We have a new wave coming down, a new education one coming down, as well as the social AV. So, ravepubs.com/AVNation, ravepubs.com/AVNation. Thanks so much for listening. That's all the time we have for AV Week.